we go on to the presentation of the Bobby Tanada Reader. Bilang bahagi ng project team ng aklat na ito, allow me to share that the book Sense of Nationhood, Senator Bobby Tanada Reader, seeks to put forth the constitutional provisions on national sovereignty as provided for in Article 2, which is on the Declaration of Principles and State Policies. It provides for reflections on the relevance and analysis of the current situation of the country through Senator Tañada's compilation of delivered speeches. Ito po ay mga speeches ni Kababi noong siya ay senador, congressman, naging pangulo ng PRRM at other occasions. So this is the embodiment of Kababi's lifelong struggle, which he amplified not only in his speeches, but also in action. So to talk about how the book came about, its happy and challenging travails and trials, if I may say so, how it is divided into several themes, and to likewise give us a glimpse of the man whom we deeply admire and respect, is no other than the person who thought about putting together this book. She was Kababi's former chief of staff, the book's persistent, and I emphasize persistent, project leader, currently regional chair of the People Power Volunteers for Reform, or PPVR, in Caraga. She's also an author of the Citizens Primer Against Corruption, former Liberal Party Director General, and former NGO Council member of the National Anti-Poverty Commission for Caraga. Friends, allow me to call on Ma'am Concepcion, Asis, and we all call her Ma'am Chit. So Ma'am Chit, please, you have the floor.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for that generous introduction, Jack. The book I'm about to present is entitled A Sense of Nationhood, the Bobby Tañada Reader. But I guess the first thing we have to know, for the benefit of the young people today who may not know who Senator Tañada is, allow me to say a few words. Senator Wigberto Bobby Tañada is one of the Philippines' foremost nationalist leaders. He was Commissioner of the Bureau of Customs in 1986, Senator of the Republic of the Philippines in 1987 to 1995, and Congressman of the 4th District of Quezon from 1995 to 2001. In his 16 years as a government official, he fought for advocacies that helped shape the nation through critical decisions. And these are on the protection of our national patrimony. He defended the nation through his advocacies and his work in legislation along the themes of national sovereignty, human rights, peace, fair trade, agrarian reform, and the marginalized sectors, especially the fisher folk, farmers, urban poor, teachers, and workers in and out of Congress. The son of a great nationalist leader, Senator Lorenzo M. Tañada, and father of Congressman Lorenzo Erin Tañada of the 4th District of Quezon, Kababi, whom we fondly called Kababi, led the campaign against the U.S. bases in the Philippines, participated in the campaign for the peace process, and fought vigorously against the GATT-WTO treaty in the halls of the Senate. He has been awarded several awards, and I will not be mentioning them lest I will be getting a text message about this introduction. But to us, as Jeka said, we respect and are always behind the advocacies of Kababi. Anyway, the book came about when one day I approached Kababi to ask permission to put together vital speeches he delivered through the years. He reluctantly gave me permission. But as Jack said, I was steadfast on it. And so immediately I knocked on the doors of the Frederick Naumann Foundation and asked their assistance so that I could put together a team that would undertake the work that was to be done. And Jules Matten, the country director at the time, very, very generously came to my aid. And today also Wolfgang Heinz of the Frederick Naumann Foundation. Because I'm not an expert, I'm not a writer, I sought the assistance of Chita Stella Simbulan, who guided me on how to start the project and helped me develop the framework. But more than anything, the sense of nationhood is a team effort because we created a team to support and do the necessary work. Roland Simbulan, Jessica Cantos, Pauline Sanchez were the first that came into our team. And much, much later, Marites Tañada Palanca, Erin Tañada, and Professor Ed Garcia also contributed to the success of this project. We structured the book along the advocacies of Kababi, 5 major chapters: national sovereignty, human rights, peace, social justice, and mainstreaming the economic thinking. These are the major advocacies of the Tañadas. And we believe that these speeches came about out of so many researches, studies, and consultations that were done through the years. There were 300 or more speeches that we reviewed, and we finally decided, after much deliberation, on 34 speeches you will find in the book. I would like to acknowledge that Chit Estela helped in the interviews and preparation of the initial introduction to the chapters, because one concern we had was, given that the speeches were delivered some time ago and the readers that we are looking at, the young people, may have no knowledge or understanding of the context of the speeches, that introduction to the speech, to the chapters of each speech, would have to be prepared. Thus, we had to interview Kababi several times, and we got experts to review the introductions, Jack and Roland and others to come in. Unfortunately, Chita Stella passed away, and so we got Monduran of the PRRM to continue the editing and writing work that was needed. Unfortunately, Monduran left us before the book was finished. And so with this as a background, we would like to be and honored, we are honored to present, proud and honored to present A Sense of Nation, the Bobby Tanyada Reader, a book which we think is very, very relevant today. And we would like to recognize the contribution of the Center for People Empowerment on Governors, who took the challenge to publish the book, because we did not want to just go to any publisher. We wanted a publisher that understands, supports, and is committed to the advocacies of Senator Tañada. Also, with that, ladies and gentlemen, here is the sense of nationhood, the Bobby Tañada reading. Thank you.
Maraming salamat, Ma'am Chit. We are very grateful for your sharing of how the book came about and what went through, and most especially what you shared about Kababi. At this point, let us hear a few words from our book's publisher. We will call in the chair of CENPEG, Center for People's Empowerment in Governance. He's the chair of the board of directors. He's a retired professor and former UP chair in the Department of Political Science. He was a political detainee for 5 years during the martial law period and a recipient of the UP Alumni Association Distinguished Award in Democratization and Governance in 2019. And if I may say so, he was one of our advisors in our student organization where I belong back in my UP days, the Third World Forum. Marami siyang kinukwento tungkol sa mga papaano ang mahusay na pakikibaka. So friends, please welcome Professor Temario Rivera. We call him Temi. So Temi, please take the floor.
Thank you very much, Jack, for your generous introduction. The Center for People Empowerment in Governance is indeed very honored and proud to be the publisher of the collected works and writings of our very distinguished colleague and public figure, former Senator Bobby Tanada. This is a historic online book launch. Ito yung pangunahing online book launch din ng CENPEG. And just a little background ang kung anong ang CENPEG. CENPEG was organized more than 10 years ago to do studies, systematic studies, research, and publish this, make this available to the public on issues that directly impact on the lives of our people, but primarily those who are on the margins, so to speak. The majority of our people who have not really been a part of the political voices in our society. And the publication of this book, of course, is very much welcome because Senator Bobby Tanada is an exemplary public figure in our history. No? You know, in CENPEG has done a lot of studies on political parties, on political families, on elections, on corruption, and on foreign policy issues. And one of the many things that we have always emphasized in our studies is the problem of political families. No? Ito yung isang major pathology ka nga, no? Sakit ng ating politika. But we are very proud to say and to affirm that the Tanada family is an exemplary exception. Kung titignan natin yung buong kontribusyon at kasaysayan ng Tanada family sa ating lipunan, makikita natin, no, kung ano ang kaibahan ng Tanada family. Starting, of course, with the late revered Senator Katani Tanada, to Senator Bobby Tanada, and now to the current generation of Tanyadas led by former Representative Erin Tanada. No? And we are hoping that the publication of these works by Senator Bobby will help, especially for our young people, for our youth and students, help them develop that sense of nationhood that has long been a problem in our continuing collective and personal efforts to define our national interests in a rapidly changing world. No? I will not address the substantive, very substantive discussion of the book on Senator Tanada's sense of nationhood because we have a distinguished panel that will be doing that shortly. But let me just say that It is a sense of nationhood that includes many of the key issues that I think should really be part of a sense of nationhood that we have long aspired for. A sense of nationhood that clearly defines our national interests, as can be seen in our continuing attempts to forge a truly independent foreign policy. A sense of nationhood that is embedded in the full respect for human rights, because a sense of nationhood that does not respect human rights, as we've already seen in our recent history, will only result in the easy justification of all kinds of abuses and extrajudicial killings in the name of the national interest. That is not the kind of nationhood that we wish to see, no? And that was clearly addressed in the book by Senator Bobby. He also addresses a sense of nationhood that is committed to a just and lasting peace. A sense of nationhood that is committed to social justice, because ultimately, a social justice must underpin any working nationhood, because a social justice in our context means a concern, a commitment to resolve the long problems of the majority of our people who continue to be poor, marginalized, and disempowered. And finally, a sense of nationhood that is prepared, to quote Senator Bobby in his book, to challenge mainstream economic thinking, or what we refer today as the neoliberal framework that has long dominated our economy, but is increasingly being challenged by what we now see as the dark side of a globalization that has run amok. You know? And so let me end by acknowledging the direct contribution of some of our colleagues in SENPEC, especially Professor Bobby Tuazon, who, of course, was on top of the publication from the start to finish. He painstakingly monitored literally every detail of the publication until it has finally come out in its printed version, and hopefully we can also have an online version, an electronic version. No? May I also acknowledge the contribution of our senior fellow, Professor Luis Teodoro, our eminent journalist and writer, former dean of the UP College of Communications, for copy editing the book. And last but not the least, of course, to our in-house artist and layout director, Mr. Fidel De La Torre. So again, we thank Friedrich Naumann Foundation, the Tanada family, and all our colleagues for this wonderful opportunity to be a publisher of this memorable book by Senator Bobby. Marami pong salamat.